Hello YouTube and welcome to my latest Skyrim build, the Falmer Electromancer. This is a shock-themed mage who can destroy anything he comes across, even on legendary difficulty. Before we get started, don't forget to click the subscribe button and hit that notification bell too, so that you never miss a build. The main skills for this build are Destruction, Enchanting and Heavy Armour. Destruction is the primary skill of a character. With it, we cast a host of different shock-based spells. You will want to get both ranks of Augmented Shock as well as Disintegrate, in order to be as deadly as possible with your magic. Additionally, I highly recommend Destruction dual casting and the Impact perk, to enable you to stagger lock powerful enemies. The perks I take in Enchanting are almost always the same. 5 out of 5 in Enchanter, Insightful Enchanter, Corpus Enchanter, and Extra Effect. This is the setup that can turn any character into a godlike beast. If you so wish, you may also want to get the Storm Enchanter perk, however I avoided it as it's far from essential and does require both Fire and Frost Enchanter to be acquired before it's available, meaning it's a bit heavy on perk investment. Our final main skill is Heavy Armour. Go up the right side of a tree in order to get the matching set perk, and then take as many ranks of Juggernaut as you can. The additional skills of a build are Restoration and Smithing. Both of these are going to help keep you alive and both require minimal perk investment. With Restoration, I only went up to Apprentice Restoration and got the Regeneration perk. This will help you to cast Fast Healing nice and cheap, restoring 75 points of health whenever you use it. In Smithing, you need to go up the left hand side of a tree, up to Advanced Armours. This is a perk that will double the improvements you can make to the chosen set of armour. If you improve your armour before enchanting it, you also won't need to worry about investing into the Arcane Blacksmith perk. This build relies on magic to deal damage, so you won't be carrying around conventional weapons. If you do want to have weapons in your inventory, then I recommend keeping an eye out for any Falmer lightning staves, as they would fit well with the theme of the build. As for armour, you wear a full suit of Falmer Heavy Armour. This set not only looks incredible, but it also offers a great level of protection, and, combined with the skills and perks we take, will let us reach the armour cap without too much difficulty. Additionally, you will want a silver ring and necklace for the additional enchantment slots. Speaking of which, the main enchantment you need to have for this build is Fortify Destruction, in order to make spells from your main school of magic free to cast. Additional enchantments to place on your gear include Resist Shock, Fortify Health, and Fortify Magicka. When levelling with this build, you will want to end up with a rough 50-50 split between Magicka and Health. In the early stages of a build though, you will need a lot more Magicka, so that should be your only focus until you've got a large enough Magicka pool to work with. Keep in mind that you will be able to balance things out later on with Fortify Health and Fortify Magicka enchantments. As for a standing stone, I would probably recommend the Action Arc Stone. Slower magic regen isn't going to bother you all that much when most of your spells are free, and being protected against mages and dragons is always going to be helpful. There is only one shout I recommend for the build, and that is Stormcall. Not only does it fit for the theme of the build, but it's also a personal favourite of mine. Calling forth thunder and lightning really makes you feel like an omnipotent sorcerer. This build really isn't all that suited towards factions. I toyed with having him side with the Stormcloaks and the Volkar Vampires, however neither felt quite right for such a self-centered character. Joining the College of Winterhold is also great for helping you to level your skills, but once again doesn't really feel right for the actual character itself. Ultimately, I've decided I'll leave the faction choices up to you, as I feel it's all going to be somewhat subjective. Followers, on the other hand, is nice and simple. You don't have any. If there was a Falmer follower in game, I might have toyed with the idea and tweaked things to make it so that he could accompany you, but there isn't. Even pet followers such as Wardogs or Reiklings don't fit well with the character, and kind of just end up ruining the image. Today's build is fairly straightforward. You encounter an enemy, you disintegrate the enemy, you laugh maniacally. pretty easy formula to stick to really. In all seriousness, it normally is that easy. The impact perk will let you stagger lock enemies, preventing them from hurting you, and even if they do manage to, they've got to contend with your capped out armour rating. If you're looking for a more in-depth way to do things though, than just my basic combat plan, I recommend to start off by casting dual cast Lightning Cloak. After that, you can use Lightning Rune or Wall of Storms to make yourself a defensible post, before laying into the enemy with dual cast Thunderbolt or Chain Lightning. Thunderbolt does higher base damage, but Chain Lightning can hit multiple enemies, making the latter good for groups of weak enemies, and the former best for strong individual targets. If you do find yourself starting to take noticeable amounts of damage, quickly switch over to fast healing and get yourself topped back up. With zero cost destruction spells, you can use your own Magicka pool purely for healing if you so wish. That, or you could even put Fortify Restoration onto your gear too, just to make yourself even more stupidly overpowered. As for roleplaying, you will just be going around Skyrim, killing anyone that displeases you. If you want more ideas for how to roleplay as the character, then I highly recommend you stick around for the whole backstory. The cave-in separated him from the other Argonian slaves. It sounded as if at least one of them had been caught by the falling rocks, and was crushed underneath their weight. He was still alive though, and needed to keep moving. He ran through the tunnels, hoping to escape as rapidly as possible. His eagerness meant he didn't notice a tripwire on the floor ahead of him, and when his scaled foot applied pressure to him, something shot out from the wall and knocked him out cold. When he awoke, it was to the sight of a foul and pale creature towering over him. Its evil eyes revealed their intent before the hot blades even punctured his body. The torture that he underwent was horrific. The punishment he had received from his Dunmer masters in the past had seemed unbearable at the time, but now he wished that he was back in chains. At least then his captors held some value to him. The Falmer tortured him on and off for what felt like an eternity. Over time though, he felt himself begin to resist their assaults on his body. His scales hardened, and his strength of will became unbreakable. The next time he was left alone, he took the opportunity to try and escape. His wrists had been lashed together, but he cut the bonds using the talons on his feet. The door resisted him, but he knew he could wait for the Falmer to return and open it. When they did, he pounced on them, tearing through their flesh with tooth and claw, relishing in being able to return the gift of pain to his captors. Once he left his holding pen, he quickly came across a trio of well-armed Falmer, and knew he wouldn't be able to face them in combat. The thought of further torture at the hands of these vile beasts caused something to awake inside of him, and he felt raw power flow through his veins. He pointed a clawed hand towards the elves, and from it shot forth a bolt of lightning. As the closest creature disintegrated, a look of surprise passed between the Mer and beast, before the Argonian let a wicked smile pass over his lips. Lightning found its way to every Falmer that dwelt within the caves. The Argonian had suffered all that he could, and it was now time for him to inflict pain upon others. Bodies fell all around him, until he eventually saw a bright light at the end of a tunnel. Passing through the light brought him to the surface world. He could smell and hear the sounds of life all around him, but he couldn't see them. The blinding light of the sun, after so long in darkness, had rendered his sight useless. In a state of panic, he let lightning flow freely around him, hearing the screams of men as he did. Before he had a chance to react to this new sound, he felt a sharp crack on the top of his head, and his senses started to fade away. The next time he woke up, he was relieved to find himself above ground, but that was the only bit of good news. He appeared to once more be a prisoner, this time on the back of a horse-drawn cart, and from the sounds of things, his captors intended to execute him. He felt anger consume him once more. They would all suffer greatly for this. Thank you all very much for watching this latest build. If you did enjoy it, make sure you click the like button, and consider sharing the video too, so that I can keep on making builds. If there are any other types of content you'd like to see on the channel, let me know with a comment. And if you want to help me do YouTube full-time one day, then maybe take a look at the Patreon page too. That's all from me for now. Sarge out.